In some instances, racists are attracted to a role in the police. Why is that, Commissioner?
I think there's a danger, isn't there, that people with corrupt motives can be attracted to power. We've seen it in sexual abuse cases. People are attracted to be teachers or caretakers or whatever. People can be attracted to power. One of the things that I've had to do, we've really toughened our vetting standards on entry. So we've doubled the proportion of people failing on entry. It used to be 5%. Now 10% of people who pass all the entry requirements, we then fail on vetting because we're ruthless at that front door point. And that's critical to be as sharp as we can do there. And we're constantly looking for new ways to get under people's history. And then when they're in the organisation, it's about the culture we create and about being determined in terms of removing people.
I would imagine you want some of those coppers we saw last night out yesterday. What is the reality? How long will it take before they're relieved of their duties?
So if we could do that in weeks, sort of a few weeks, that would be as fast as is possible.
That's your goal, is it, Commissioner?
That's my goal. I'm dependent upon the IOPC. We can only go to fast processes if the evidence is incontrovertible, is the word in police regulations. But frankly, for many of those people last night, the evidence looks to me incontrovertible.
Your smile is a scum. Smile is ugly. Any fool person is the worst to deal with. God, we so lose our job right now.
I just think it is a case of the BBC making news rather than reporting news. I think you could invert this. You could invert this. I mean, what the BBC has discovered is there is such a thing as non-polite society. There is polite society and non-polite society.
No, this is criminal behaviour, Robert.
Yeah, you might dislike the way that they talk, but these are people...
No, deliberately snapping someone's tendons when trying to take fingerprints is criminal behaviour.
Was the tendon snapped?
Well, I wasn't there. The officer said he was, yes.
Well, that...
deliberately mistreating an autistic suspect in the back of a van and applying pressure to his tendons so effectively gets dead leg. That is, again, criminal...
That wasn't the clip I saw. The clip I saw was someone was trying to flip a guy over in custody while searching him.
Did you watch the whole documentary?
Not the entire documentary, no.
That's fair enough. Well, I did, because it's my job. And there is an autistic suspect who, as I say again, the pressure is applied to effectively give him dead legs, and he's in enormous pain. This is criminal behaviour, Robert.
Well, I remember around about 2005, when I had psychosis, and I was actually thrown to the ground by the police very, very hard. Right. Often the police have to operate under circumstances where they're scared and nervous and they have to do their job. Yep. You could invert this situation and have the BBC do, say, a documentary on the Turkish mafia and release news. My gosh, they were really polite.
Right.
They were really polite. There is a thing called polite society, non-polite society. We can't police people's private lives. Yes, we can observe behaviours,
but it's not their private lives. It's their professional lives. We place in them, and they are, for the most part, an incredibly brave army of men and women who do their job and who protect us. But we give them enormous powers, and with those come responsibilities. And these officers, clearly, the way they behaved, are not taking that seriously enough. Robert, it's a fact, my friend.
Well, you can... I haven't watched that entire documentary, but I do know that there are instances... We all have this agreement with the media, where the media kind of like is there to report things, and no one wants to become the news. I think you said it once before. We all kind of want to sort of live in polite society, but we will occasionally meet people that are not polite.
I watched it last night, and one thing that came out was the main sergeant, with the sexual tendencies. Yeah, he said he'd been in the job for 25 years. Now I don't know. So that takes it back to say 2000. But I grew up living in Soho in the early 80s.
Okay.
And I can tell you now that station, Charing Cross, was known locally as a bit of a bad apple, heavy-handedness. And later, now I don't know this for a fact, but I do know there was tensions between Charing Cross and West End Central Police Station. Right. And at one point, it was said that two people were found to be a gay nature. Well, sorry, not gay nature, gay in West End Central.
Sorry, just slow down. The officers were gay, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I was told, now I don't know this, Nick, but I was told, by a few locals who are a little bit more closer to this, that there was a lot of homophobic abuse going on between the two stations.
Right,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is systemic. I if you think it's a thing that's gone on for the last 10 years now, I think this station has had issues for many, many years.
I don't condone what happened last night, and none of us do. So what we saw last night. But there's two big things that come out of this for me, these sort of patterns that we've seen. And you all know this from being a journalist and how people change when they're in a job. The first one is this constant labelling. We've had it this week. Political opponents as racist and...
Yeah. Well,
racist
policies, yeah.
Well, not Hitler Youth. I saw the video.
I'm sorry, David Lammy. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
This is just so lazy, and I expect better from people. In business, we never talk down the competition publicly. We go at people critically on the points they make, on their commercial offer, on the service, the products, etc. And this is just nothing short of a scandal. But this just is the end of a long series of very strong labels given out by the institutions to other institutions, that where we end up with it very easy for people to just endorse the view that the police are institutionally racist. Going back to the McPherson report, you've had decades of people calling the police misogynists, homophobes, out of touch, bullies, etc., etc. And all the examples we see today about policing of speech, etc., etc., and how these things are taken by either side to make political points. I ask you, as an employer, yes, and your interview with Rowley was really good. We all have as employers a duty of care. You've got to be asking what happens to the officers after 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That phrase black humour that people used to be able to use to sort of alleviate the stress. They're in a very difficult position.
But not all of those. All right, that sergeant's got 20 plus years in, but some of those, those are lads. They're younger than my children. They're in their 20s, some of these fellas.
Exactly. So why weren't they spotted? And the point is, it's the cynicism that people develop in this job. And I think the Police Federation, you need to do more. We can't just...
Well, the cynicism... I would just back up that, unfortunately, like journalists, like police, we have a very dark sense of humour. It's a fact, because not so much in the job I do now, but if you're in editing a newspaper or news editing, all you ever hear about are bombs, deaths, stabbings. You would just be in tears every day of your working life. So you have to develop... Now, that doesn't mean you then decide that you're going to make racist or inappropriate comments. Do you see what I'm saying, Adrian? So we've got to realise what these men and women do every day.
I didn't... As I said at the start, what we saw yesterday, and those guys will be... The people involved will be dealt with by the process and likely sacked. And that's right. And none of us are condoning... I'm not condoning anything like that. Quite the opposite. But what I am saying, you cannot, in positions of authority, continually label people, yes, in a negative fashion, and not expect there to be consequences. And that...
Adrian, from the perspective of running a business, thank you. Only finishing to get more people involved. Thanks for hanging on the line. Have yourself a good day. 4 to 9 the time. Someone else who's in the job but asks me to keep his or her name. I watched a documentary. It was an utter disgrace, a betrayal. There'll be those that say it's a normal outlet for the trauma they experience, and they are wrong. I've seen things in my career I wouldn't wish on anyone. Acts of utter barbarity committed against the most vulnerable. We deal with it together without losing our humanity. Those men were never one of us, and they need to be instantly dismissed. Well, you heard here on LBC that if the Commissioner has his way, they will be gone within weeks. What's annoying is we're still paying them currently. Paul's in Worcester Park. Paul, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Hi there. I have a lot of time for you, and I'm surprised you're not taking a more cynical attitude towards that documentary. Now, I didn't see it, but I'm going to pick on 2 points that you've been talking about. One, about the police officer talking about the breaking or the breaking of attendance. This sounds to me just like banter, just like boasting. There's no evidence, right, apart from his own bravado and bragging that this happened. No one's come forward. If someone had their fingers broken while having their fingerprints taken, they'd ask for a police surgeon to be in attendance, who were quite quickly noticing the recent injuries.
Fair, but
there's no evidence it happened, is there?
No, but he did brag about doing it on more than one occasion.
There's no evidence it happened, though, is there?
Well, OK, but I think...
No, but just say no. Just say no, because there's not, is there?
I can't give you any evidence that it happened, save for the man...
Right, OK, so could you speak bravado?
Hold on, save for his confession.
But it wasn't a confession, it's just bravado. What's it?
Admission, all right, admission, whatever word you want. Save for the man saying, I did it, which is normally compelling in a court of law. If a judge says, did you do it? Yes, I did it. Well, that's
Court of law.
probably going to be enough to see him convicted.
A court of law will often not take a police officer's evidence.
No. But in many instances, if you find yourself in court and you're asked by a magistrate or a judge, did you do this? And you say, yes, I did it. The judge, he or she, is not going to say, right, now I need to see evidence. They're going to take... He's not
in court.
No, I know, but it's enough already. It's
enough. Not, because people quite often will not believe police officers on their own.
We're going to disagree agreeably on that. I think you wanted to make another point. Yeah.
Okay, and also there would be cameras in the police station. Like the other one is the remark he made about Somali people. If that's his lived experience, why is it wrong for him to say that?
Because, oh my God, I don't know where to start. Because we invest enormous power and trust in these people that they will carry out their duties without fear or favour. That is, that if you happen to be Somalian or homosexual or autistic or whatever it might be, you will be policed in just the same way as you were half Swiss or straight or whatever it might be. You can't have someone serving in such a key role who has those views. Come on.
He didn't say that he wouldn't. He didn't say he wouldn't be impartial. He just said in his experience they were of this manner. But you've had people ringing your station up this morning saying that these few officers cast all officers in a bad light.
I don't agree
and yet
with that.
one person who says he deals with Somalis, and you're only going to be dealing with criminal Somalis, is not allowed to make the same sort of statements.